And for a split second, I thought the name of that giant joint you were going to roll was going to be the tidal wave of marijuana. Here we go. It's another edition of 5 Minutes Deep with Sidney, and I'm here with N.A. Poe, stand-up comedian and activist and conspiracy theorist. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, it's okay to say, but I feel like that there's less conspiracy involved in some of those theories at this point than there is truth. So it's interesting.
Right. So truth theorist N.A. Poe.
Yeah.
Okay. So it seems to me that your primary activism goes towards the legalization of marijuana.
Yeah.
Okay. With that being the case, and with part of the disinformation campaign against marijuana being an attempt to mischaracterize it as like a silly, goofy drug with the characterization of the stoner, do you ever get concerned that being a stand-up comedian will hurt your platform for your activism?
No, actually, it's, in my opinion, it's helped more than anything, because when I started activism in Occupy Philadelphia, I saw these very hardcore people, standing outside of banks telling people walking home from work to burn their credit cards, and they were not getting through to these people, and they never would. So getting people out, rallying them, making them laugh, it's actually... Comedy has been the greatest weapon that we've brought to activism, and it's alienated us a lot with a lot of other activists because they say we're goofing around. But you know what? We're goofing around and we're getting things done. There's a bill getting introduced next week for medical marijuana in Pennsylvania that has a real nice shot of getting through. There's a governor running on a straight marijuana platform. He has a decent shot, of maybe getting the Democratic nomination. So I think that comedy has become our sword, Sidney, to be honest.
Okay. For your activism, you were recently arrested on federal grounds in Philadelphia. You can no longer smoke marijuana because you're on probation. Are you concerned that you might gain so much clarity and motivation you start doing something else with your time?
Well, it's funny. Marijuana has always been a stimulant for me to be able to get those creative juices flowing. But what I've learned recently, I had to write an article for basically the city paper in Boston the other day. And without marijuana, I got to sit down and really focus. So marijuana is great for me personally to break through the barrier of creativity. It's great for writing jokes on the internet and stuff like that. But actually really settling in and writing without marijuana, there was a certain amount of clarity, Sid, that kind of really kind of was like, I settled in, I bagged it out, and it felt like, I can focus a little bit more. Not saying that marijuana is a bad thing for focusing necessarily, but all of a sudden you smoke some weed and you're 2 hours into going through a Facebook wormhole where you're just sitting there looking through everyone's shit, man.
Why am I not an activist? Why are more people not activists?
Well, I feel like people are scared. I'm 34 years old. I have no kids. You know what I mean? I have really no responsibility. So me putting myself out there and using my personality and using my comedy to be able to do this stuff actually is it's a risk for me, but it's a risk that I can take, and a lot of people, I'll get messages from people like, hey, or donations from people, hey, I'm 42, I got 3 kids, I smoke pot every day, I can't go out there, thank you so much for going out and do it. Now, I didn't want to get arrested. In a way, it was the best and worst thing that ever happened to me because it kind of elevated what we were doing. It elevated, the marijuana push in Pennsylvania, elevated our careers a little bit at the same time.
Yeah.
So I feel like, getting arrested was the best and worst thing that has ever happened to me. But, I embrace it at this point now.
Yeah, the way you poke fun at your probation officer nonstop on your monitored Facebook. Is there a risk involved? And am I at risk right now?
Well, no. The way I look at it is when I went to court, the judge held up a lot of my First Amendment rights because they brought in a meme of my bearded dragon. They brought in my Facebook post. And the judge basically said, the most beautiful thing that anyone ever said about me, he said, being a thorn in the side of law enforcement and the park police is not a crime. And that just made me feel like that was the greatest review I could ever get. But to sit on a witness stand and watch a judge have to watch our fucking YouTube videos really was like the crowning achievement so far.
Yeah, guaranteed hits by a judge who, from the sound of it, I think he might smoke pot.
Marijuana, I miss you. I miss you dearly. All the times we spent together, all the things we've done together, I miss you. But you know what? On December 13th of next year, I'm going to throw a party in Philadelphia, and what I'm doing is, as I'm saving as much marijuana as I can, I'm going to have donations from everyone, and I'm going to roll a fucking joint as big as this table, and I'm going to smoke it with everyone I know and love. And the thing is, the tidal wave of marijuana legalization is sweeping across the country, and it's amazing to be able to be a part of such a lovely, at this point, civil rights movement.